You know what makes me absolutely furious? When a company pushes their biggest star so far that he literally walks out the door, and then they have the nerve to act surprised about it. Well, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you about Cody Rhodes and WWE is going to blow your mind, and if you're not subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live yet, you better hit that subscribe button right now because this story is developing by the hour and you're not going to want to miss a single update. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the man who came back to WWE to finish his story, the man who became WWE Champion at WrestleMania 40, has made his decision. He's done. He's leaving WWE for good, and the reason why is going to make your blood boil just like it's made mine. Let me take you back to that fateful night on SmackDown, the 3 stages of Hell match against Drew McIntyre. This wasn't just any match. This was supposed to be Cody's moment to prove once again why he's the face of WWE, why he's the champion, why he's the guy who should be carrying this company into the future. But instead, it turned into the straw that broke the camel's back, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Make sure you're still with me here because this gets intense, and if you haven't subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live, do it now because we're the only channel bringing you the real inside information that WWE doesn't want you to know about. The 3 stages of Hell match was brutal. We're talking about a match that went through every conceivable stipulation, that pushed both men to their absolute limits, that had the crowd on their feet the entire time. Cody Rhodes gave everything he had in that match. He bled, he sweated, he put his body through hell, literally. He delivered the kind of performance that reminded everyone why he's one of the best in-ring performers of this generation. The match was an absolute war, and by all accounts, it should have been the kind of match that elevated both competitors and made Cody look like the fighting champion that WWE has been claiming he is. But then the finish happened. Drew McIntyre pinned Cody Rhodes clean in the center of the ring. The referee's hand hit the mat for the 3 count, and just like that, Cody's championship reign was over. Now, I want you to really think about this for a second. Cody Rhodes, the guy who finished his story at WrestleMania, the guy who finally achieved what his father never could, the guy who has been busting his tail for this company since the day he came back, just lost his championship in a match on SmackDown. Not at a pay-per-view, not at WrestleMania, not even at SummerSlam. On a random episode of SmackDown in a match that most casual fans probably didn't even know was happening until that week. And here's where it gets really interesting, and this is information that you're only going to get here on WWE Frenzy Live, so if you're not subscribed, what are you even doing? Hit that button right now because we've got sources inside WWE who are feeding us information that the mainstream wrestling media isn't reporting. According to multiple people who were backstage that night, Cody Rhodes didn't know he was losing until the day of the show. Let me repeat that. Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion, wasn't told that he was going to lose his title until the actual day of SmackDown. He wasn't consulted about it beforehand. He wasn't asked how he felt about dropping the belt to Drew. He was simply informed that this was the plan and that he needed to go out there and do his job. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being Cody Rhodes, having worked your entire career to get to this point, having come back to WWE specifically to win that championship, having finally achieved your dream, and then being told on a random Tuesday that you're losing it tonight and you don't get a say in the matter? That's not how you treat your top star. That's not how you treat someone who has been as loyal and professional as Cody has been. That's how you treat someone you don't value, someone you're ready to move on from, someone you're taking completely for granted. But wait, it gets worse. And trust me, you're going to want to stay subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live because we're going to continue following this story as it develops, and there are going to be more bombshells dropping in the coming days. After the match was over, after Cody had done his job and put Drew McIntyre over clean in the middle of the ring, he went backstage. And according to our sources, he didn't say a word to anyone. He didn't go to the trainer's room to get checked out even though he had taken a beating during that match. He didn't stick around for the rest of the show. He went straight to his locker room, grabbed his bag, and left the building. Just walked out. No goodbye, no see you next week, nothing. He was gone. Now at first, people backstage thought maybe Cody was just upset about losing and needed some time to cool off. That's understandable, right? Losing a championship, especially in the way he lost it, would upset anyone. But then Monday came around and Cody didn't show up to Raw. Tuesday came and Cody wasn't answering phone calls from WWE officials. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday passed, and still no Cody Rhodes. WWE started to realize that this wasn't just Cody being upset about a booking decision. This was something much more serious. This was Cody Rhodes making a statement, and that statement was that he was done. The report started coming out, and if you were subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live, you heard about this before anyone else because we've got our finger on the pulse of what's really happening in WWE. Cody Rhodes had made his decision. He wasn't coming back. The 3 stages of Hell match against Drew McIntyre was his last match in WWE. He was leaving, and he was leaving for good. No farewell tour, no retirement match, no big send-off. He was simply done with a company that had shown him time and time again that they didn't value him the way he deserved to be valued. Now, you might be thinking, hold on, Cody Rhodes is still under contract with WWE. How can he just leave? Well, here's where Cody's business acumen comes into play, and this is something that everyone needs to pay attention to because it's a masterclass in protecting yourself in this industry. When Cody signed his contract to return to WWE, he negotiated specific clauses that gave him outs under certain circumstances. One of those clauses, according to sources close to the situation, was related to creative control and championship reigns. The exact details are confidential, but the general idea is that if WWE made certain booking decisions without consulting Cody, it could trigger options in his contract that would allow him to leave. And guess what WWE just did? They booked Cody to lose his championship without consulting him. They made a major creative decision about his character without his input. According to our sources, and again, you're hearing this on WWE Frenzy Live before anyone else is reporting it, Cody's lawyers have already been in contact with WWE's legal department, and they've informed them that Cody is invoking the clause in his contract that allows him to terminate the agreement. WWE is in full panic mode right now, and that's why what's happening behind the scenes is absolutely insane. Make sure you're subscribed because we're going to have updates on this situation every single day. WWE management, and I'm talking about the highest levels of the company, immediately went into crisis mode. We're talking about emergency conference calls happening at all hours of the day and night. We're talking about executives who normally don't get involved in talent relations suddenly taking personal interest in the situation. We're talking about people in suits who usually just look at spreadsheets and quarterly reports suddenly realizing that they are about to lose the one person who could legitimately walk into any wrestling company in the world and be their top star immediately. The first thing WWE did was try to downplay the situation publicly. They put out statements saying that Cody was taking some personal time, that he was dealing with some family matters, that he'd be back soon. But behind the scenes, it was complete chaos, because WWE knew the truth. They knew that Cody wasn't taking personal time. They knew that Cody had made up his mind. They knew that unless they did something drastic, and I mean really drastic, Cody Rhodes was gone for good. So what did they do? They started reaching out. Phone calls, text messages, emails, everything. They were trying to get in touch with Cody any way they could. But Cody wasn't responding. He'd made his decision and he wasn't interested in hearing what WWE had to say. He'd heard their promises before. He'd heard their explanations before. He'd been patient with them before. And where had it gotten him? It had gotten him booked to lose his championship on a random SmackDown without even being consulted about it. When WWE realized that Cody wasn't going to respond to phone calls and emails, they decided to escalate things. And this is where the story gets really wild, and this is exactly why you need to be subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live because nobody else is reporting these details. WWE sent people to Cody's house. Not just any people either. We're talking about high-level executives who flew across the country to show up at Cody's door and try to talk to him face to face. Can you imagine being so desperate to keep someone that you literally show up at their house uninvited? According to sources who would absolutely know what happened, Cody didn't even let them in. He came to the door, listened to them for about 30 seconds, and then told them that unless they were there to discuss the termination of his contract, he had nothing to say to them. Then he closed the door and that was that. These executives, people who are used to getting whatever they want, people who are used to talent bending over backwards to please them, got turned away at the door by Cody Rhodes. And that's when WWE really started to understand the gravity of the situation. The next step in WWE's desperation playbook was to start making offers. And not just any offers. We're talking about offers that would make your head spin. According to multiple sources, and remember, you're getting this exclusive information here on WWE Frenzy Live, WWE has offered Cody Rhodes a contract that would make him the highest paid performer in the entire company. Not just one of the highest paid, the highest paid. We're talking about a deal that would eclipse what they are paying Roman Reigns. We're talking about a deal that would make Cody Rhodes one of the highest paid athletes in all of professional wrestling, period. But here's the thing that WWE is learning the hard way. Cody Rhodes isn't motivated primarily by money. Don't get me wrong, he likes money as much as the next person, and he's a smart businessman who knows his worth. But if this was just about money, Cody could have stayed in AEW and been paid extremely well. If this was just about money, Cody could go to any number of companies right now and make a fortune. This isn't about money. This is about respect. This is about being valued. This is about being treated like the professional and the star that he is. So when WWE came to Cody with their massive money offer, according to our sources, his response was simple. He asked them one question. Why should I believe that anything will be different? Why should I trust that you won't just do the same thing again 6 months from now? And WWE didn't have a good answer for that question. How could they? Their track record speaks for itself. They've burned bridges with so many talented performers over the years because of the exact same pattern of behavior. Take someone for granted, make decisions without their input, treat them like a replaceable cog in the machine, and then act surprised when they get fed up and leave. But WWE wasn't done trying. When the money offer didn't work, they moved on to promises about creative control. And this is where things get really interesting from a business perspective, so make sure you're paying attention and make sure you're subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live because we're going to break down exactly what these promises mean and whether they are worth anything. WWE has reportedly offered to give Cody Rhodes the kind of creative control that they haven't given anyone since maybe John Cena at the height of his powers. We're talking about approval over his own storylines, approval over his opponents, approval over finishes to his matches, the whole 9 yards. They've also promised him that he would be consulted on major creative decisions for the entire show, not just his own segments. They are essentially offering to make him a hybrid performer and creative executive, someone who would have real power and real influence over the direction of WWE programming. On paper, this sounds amazing, right? This sounds like exactly what Cody would want. But here's the problem. WWE has made promises like this before to other performers, and they haven't always kept those promises. Remember when they promised Centimeter Punk that he would main event WrestleMania? Remember when they promised Daniel Bryan that he would be treated like a main event talent? Remember all the times they promised performers creative freedom only to pull it back the moment those performers wanted to do something that management didn't agree with? Cody Rhodes remembers. He's been in this business his whole life. He knows the history, he knows the patterns, and he knows that a promise from WWE management isn't worth the paper it's written on unless there are real, enforceable consequences for breaking that promise. So according to our sources, Cody's response to WWE's offer of creative control was to ask them to put it in writing with specific language that would give him actual legal recourse if they violated the terms. And that's when WWE started to backtrack a little bit. Suddenly it was less about giving Cody complete creative control and more about giving him a significant voice in the creative process. Suddenly it was about collaboration and working together rather than Cody having final say. And that's when Cody knew that their promises were hollow. If they were serious about giving him creative control, they would have no problem putting it in writing with enforceable terms. The fact that they hesitated told Cody everything he needed to know. The latest development in this saga, and this is breaking news that you're hearing first on WWE Frenzy Live, is that WWE management has moved from making offers to literally begging. We're talking about executives who are used to being in positions of power, who are used to having all the leverage, literally begging Cody Rhodes not to leave. They've admitted to him that they made a mistake with the Drew McIntyre match. They've admitted that they should have consulted him about losing the championship. They've admitted that they've been taking him for granted, and they are begging him to give them one more chance to make things right. According to sources who were present during one of these conversations, and I'm not going to reveal exactly who these sources are because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but these are people who would absolutely know what was said. WWE management told Cody that losing him would be catastrophic for the company. They told him that he's more important to WWE than he realizes. They told him that they need him not just as a performer but as a leader in the locker room, as someone who represents the company with class, as someone who can be the face of WWE for years to come. They laid it all out there. They were completely honest about how much they need him. And you know what Cody's response was? He told them that he wishes they had realized all of this before they booked him to lose his championship without consulting him. He told them that he wishes they had valued him this much when he was actually working for them instead of waiting until he was walking out the door. He told them that their panic and their desperation now just proves that they knew how valuable he was all along, they just chose not to treat him accordingly until it was too late. And honestly, he's absolutely right. If you're just joining us now, make sure you subscribe to WWE Frenzy Live because this story is far from over and we're going to have more updates as they happen. The thing that really gets me about this whole situation is how predictable it was. Anyone who has been paying attention to WWE over the years could have seen this coming. They have a pattern of behavior that they repeat over and over again. They find someone talented, they push them to the moon for a while, they get complacent and start taking them for granted, the performer gets frustrated, and then either the performer leaves or WWE has to scramble to repair the relationship. It's happened so many times that you'd think they would have learned it by now, but apparently they haven't. And the thing is, the warning signs were there with Cody. It wasn't like he went from being perfectly happy to walking out overnight. There were signs for months that he was becoming increasingly frustrated with how he was being used. His social media activity changed. He started being less enthusiastic in interviews. People who worked with him noticed that he wasn't his usual upbeat self. But WWE either didn't notice these signs or they chose to ignore them, thinking that Cody would just deal with it because that's what wrestlers are supposed to do. But Cody Rhodes isn't just any wrestler. He's someone who has proven that he can be successful anywhere. He's someone who helped build a brand new wrestling company from the ground up. He's someone who has business options that most wrestlers don't have. He doesn't need WWE, and that's what makes him dangerous from WWE's perspective. He has the kind of leverage that very few performers ever have, and he's not afraid to use it. Let's talk about what actually happened in the build-up to that 3 stages of Hell match because context is important here. The feud between Cody and Drew McIntyre had been going on for a few weeks, and honestly, it was pretty good. Drew was playing the role of the frustrated veteran who feels like he's been overlooked while Cody got handed everything. It was a solid storyline with real emotional stakes. The promos were good, the matches were good, and fans were invested in seeing where it would go. But according to our sources, and again, you're getting this information exclusively here on WWE Frenzy Live, so make sure you're subscribed, Cody had concerns about the direction of the feud from the beginning. He felt like the story was making him look weak. He felt like he was being booked too much as a babyface who was just taking punishment rather than as a fighting champion who was dominant. He brought these concerns to the creative team multiple times, and each time he was told that they had a plan and to trust the process. Cody, being the professional that he is, went along with it. He did the promos the way they were written. He worked the matches the way they were laid out. He trusted that creative knew where they were going with the story. And then he found out on the day of SmackDown that the plan was for him to lose the championship. No build-up to him potentially losing. No storyline reason for why this was the right time for him to drop the belt. Just a decision that creative had made because they wanted to do something different with the championship. When Cody found out, he reportedly asked to speak with the head of creative immediately. He wanted to understand the rationale behind the decision. He wanted to know what the long-term plan was for his character. He wanted to know if this was about building to something bigger or if this was just a random decision to shake things up. And the answers he got were apparently not satisfying. He was essentially told that they wanted Drew to be champion for a while and they thought this was the right time to make the switch. There was no grand plan. There was no big payoff coming for Cody's character. It was just a decision that creative made without really thinking about the implications. That's when Cody knew he was done. That's when he realized that no matter how much he gave to WWE, no matter how professional he was, no matter how hard he worked, he was always going to be just another piece on their chessboard that they could move around without consulting him. He realized that finishing his story at WrestleMania was probably the peak of what WWE was ever going to allow him to achieve, and everything from that point forward was going to be a slow decline until they decided they were done with him. So he made the decision right then and there. He would go out to the ring, he would have the match with Drew McIntyre, he would do his job one last time, and then he would leave. And that's exactly what he did. He went out there and he put on an incredible performance. He made Drew McIntyre look like $1 million. He sold every move like his life depended on it. He gave the fans a match that they would remember. And then when it was over and Drew McIntyre was celebrating with the championship, Cody Rhodes walked to the back for the last time. The locker room reaction to all of this has been really interesting, and this is something that WWE really should be paying attention to. According to multiple wrestlers who have spoken to sources, and we're protecting these people's identities because they still have to work for WWE, but according to these wrestlers, there's a lot of sympathy for Cody in the locker room. People understand why he's frustrated. They've seen how he's been treated. They've noticed the same patterns that Cody noticed. And there's a real concern that if WWE can treat someone like Cody Rhodes this way, what chance do the rest of them have? Some wrestlers are apparently hoping that this situation will be a wake-up call for WWE management. They are hoping that maybe if Cody stands his ground and demands better treatment, it will lead to systemic changes that benefit everyone. Other wrestlers are more cynical. They think that even if WWE makes concessions to Cody, even if they change how they treat him, it won't lead to lasting changes in how the company operates. They think it'll just be a one-off situation where WWE does whatever they need to do to keep one particular star happy without addressing the underlying issues that led to the problem in the first place. And honestly, based on WWE's history, the cynical wrestlers are probably right. WWE has never been particularly good at learning from their mistakes when it comes to talent relations. They keep making the same errors over and over again because the people at the top don't see it as errors. They see it as business as usual. They see wrestlers as employees who should be grateful for the opportunity to work for WWE, not as partners who deserve respect and input into their own careers. Now let's talk about what happens if Cody actually does leave, because this is something that WWE should be absolutely terrified about. The optics alone would be devastating. Cody Rhodes, the guy who left WWE, became a huge star elsewhere, and then came back specifically to finish his story, leaving again because WWE can't treat their talent properly. That's a narrative that would dominate wrestling media for months. It would be on every dirt sheet, every podcast, every YouTube channel. It would be a black eye for WWE that they couldn't spin their way out of no matter how hard they tried. Then there's the competitive aspect. Where would Cody go? The obvious answer is back to AEW. Tony Khan would probably give Cody a blank check to return. The pop that Cody would get showing up on an AEW show would be absolutely insane. The storylines that could be told with Cody going back to the company he helped create would be incredibly compelling. And AEW would use Cody's return as proof that WWE can't keep their top talent happy, which would be a major propaganda win for them in the wrestling war. But Cody wouldn't necessarily have to go back to AEW. He could go to New Japan and have dream matches with some of the best wrestlers in the world. He could go to Impact or Ring of Honor or any number of other promotions and immediately become their top star. He could even start his own promotion again if he wanted to. The point is, Cody has options, and every single one of those options would be bad for WWE. There's also the question of what message it sends to other WWE talent. If Cody Rhodes, someone who has been nothing but professional, who has never complained publicly, who has done everything WWE has asked of him, can't make it work with the company, what does that tell everyone else? It tells them that no matter how good you are, no matter how hard you work, no matter how loyal you are, WWE will eventually take you for granted and you'll have to decide whether you're willing to put up with it or whether you'd rather take your talents elsewhere. And that's a dangerous message for WWE to be sending right now because the wrestling business is more competitive than it's been in decades. Wrestlers have more options than they've had since the Monday Night Wars. If WWE develops a reputation as a place where even their top stars aren't happy, that's going to make it harder for them to sign new talent and harder for them to keep the talent they already have. Word gets around in the wrestling business, and if the word is that WWE doesn't value their performers, that's going to come back to haunt them. Make sure you're subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live because we're going to continue covering every aspect of this story as it develops. The financial implications for WWE are also significant. Cody Rhodes is a massive draw. His merchandise sells incredibly well. He's one of the most popular wrestlers in the company among casual fans and hardcore fans alike. Losing him would mean losing all of that revenue. It would mean losing someone who can reliably pop a rating when he's on TV. It would mean losing someone who can sell tickets to house shows. From a pure business perspective, letting Cody Rhodes walk away would be absolutely idiotic. But beyond the immediate financial impact, there's also the long-term strategic consideration. WWE has been trying to build new stars for years with mixed results. They finally have someone in Cody Rhodes who connects with audiences on a deep level, who can carry the company as a top star, who has proven drawing power, and who still has years left in his career. If they let him go, who replaces him? Who becomes the new face of WWE? Those aren't easy questions to answer, and the fact that WWE is even in a position where they have to think about those questions is entirely their own fault. What really frustrates me about this whole situation, and I think this is something that every wrestling fan should be angry about, is that it didn't have to happen this way. WWE had everything they needed to keep Cody Rhodes happy. All they had to do was treat him with respect, give him input into his own character, and book him like the star that he is. That's it. That's not asking for much. But apparently, even that was too much for WWE management to handle. And the worst part is that WWE is only now realizing what they had. They are only now understanding how valuable Cody is. They are only now appreciating everything he brings to the table. But it took him literally walking out the door for them to figure it out. What does that say about their ability to evaluate talent? What does that say about their understanding of their own roster? What does that say about the people who are making decisions about the creative direction of the company? The apologies that WWE is offering Cody right now ring hollow because they are not coming from a place of genuine recognition of his value. They are coming from a place of panic. They are apologizing because they are scared of what happens if he leaves, not because they actually understand what they did wrong. And Cody is smart enough to see the difference. He's been around the business long enough to know when someone is being sincere and when someone is just trying to save face. According to the latest reports, and we're constantly updating our information here on WWE Frenzy Live, so stay subscribed for all the breaking news, WWE has been trying to set up a face-to-face meeting with Cody. They want to sit down with him in person and make their case for why he should stay. They want to show him detailed plans for the next year of programming. They want to demonstrate that they are serious about treating him better going forward. But as of right now, Cody hasn't agreed to meet with them. He's made it clear that unless they can give him actual, concrete guarantees that things will be different, not just promises but real contractual guarantees, he's not interested in hearing what they have to say. And honestly, good for him. Good for Cody for standing his ground. Good for him for knowing his worth and refusing to be taken advantage of. Good for him for setting an example for every other wrestler in that locker room that you don't have to just accept whatever treatment a company gives you. You can stand up for yourself. You can demand better. And if a company isn't willing to give you what you deserve, you can go somewhere else. This is a watershed moment for WWE. How they handle this situation will have repercussions for years to come. If they can somehow convince Cody to stay and they actually follow through on their promises to treat him better, it could be a turning point for the company's relationship with their talent. It could signal a new era where wrestlers are actually valued as partners rather than as disposable employees. But if Cody leaves, or if he stays and WWE goes back to their old ways after a few months, it will confirm everything that critics have been saying about WWE for years. It will prove that no matter how much they talk about change, they are still fundamentally the same company that drives away top talent through mismanagement. The wrestling world is watching this situation very closely. Media members are watching. Other promoters are watching. Wrestlers in WWE are watching. Wrestlers outside of WWE are watching. This is one of those situations that has implications far beyond just one person's contract status. This is about the fundamental relationship between wrestlers and the companies they work for. This is about power dynamics in the wrestling business. This is about whether WWE can evolve to meet the demands of modern wrestlers who have more options and more leverage than wrestlers did in previous eras. I've been covering wrestling for a long time, and I've seen a lot of contract disputes, a lot of talent walking away, a lot of companies scrambling to keep their stars. But this situation with Cody Rhodes feels different. It feels more significant. Maybe it's because Cody's story with WWE has been so well documented. Maybe it's because his return was such a big deal and seeing him leave again would be such a dramatic reversal. Maybe it's because the wrestling business is at such a crucial point right now with multiple companies competing for talent and attention. Whatever the reason, this feels like one of those moments that we'll look back on as being really important in the history of the business. The question that everyone wants answered is simple. Will Cody Rhodes stay or will he go? And honestly, as of right now, nobody knows for sure. Not WWE management, not Cody's friends in the locker room, not the wrestling media, nobody. Cody is keeping his cards very close to his chest. He's not talking to anyone outside of his immediate circle. He's not dropping hints on social media. He's not doing interviews where he might accidentally reveal what he's thinking. He's maintaining complete silence, and that silence is driving WWE absolutely crazy. What we do know is that WWE is pulling out all the stops to try to keep him. They are offering more money than they've ever offered anyone. They are promising creative control. They are begging him to give them another chance. They are admitting that they made mistakes. They are doing everything they can possibly do short of guaranteeing him ownership of the company. But is it enough? Will Cody look at everything WWE is offering and decide that it's worth giving them another shot? Or will he decide that no amount of money and no collection of promises is worth staying with a company that has shown him who they really are? If I had to guess, and this is just my personal opinion based on everything I'm hearing from sources and based on my understanding of who Cody Rhodes is as a person, I think Cody is seriously considering leaving. I think the Drew McIntyre match was the final straw for him. I think he's tired of fighting the same battles over and over again. I think he's tired of having to constantly prove his worth to a company that should already recognize it. I think he's reached a point where he's ready to move on and find an environment where he'll be appreciated from day one rather than having to force people to appreciate him. Subscribe to WWE Frenzy Live right now because when Cody makes his final decision, we're going to be the first ones to report it. But at the same time, I also know that Cody loves wrestling. He loves performing. He loves connecting with audiences. And there's no denying that WWE gives him a platform to do that on a scale that no other company can match. WWE has the biggest audience, the most mainstream visibility, the most resources. If Cody's goal is to cement his legacy as one of the all-time greats, staying in WWE and continuing to have high-profile matches and moments probably gives him the best opportunity to do that. So there's definitely a part of him that wants to stay, that wants to believe WWE when they say things will be different. That's the internal struggle that Cody is dealing with right now. His head is telling him that WWE has shown him who they are and he should believe them. His heart is telling him that maybe they really will change, that maybe this scare has been enough to genuinely alter how they do business. It's a tough decision, and I don't envy him having to make it. Whatever Cody decides, I respect it. If he chooses to stay and give WWE another chance, I hope for his sake that the company actually follows through on their promises. I hope they actually treat him like the star he is. I hope they actually give him the creative input they are promising. I hope this situation serves as a wake-up call that leads to lasting positive changes, but I'm also not holding my breath, because WWE has let me down too many times before, and if Cody decides to leave, I can't say I blame him. He's given WWE every opportunity to do right by him. He came back to the company in good faith. He worked his tail off. He delivered incredible matches and moments. He became exactly the kind of champion and ambassador that WWE should want representing them. And they still managed to mess it up. At a certain point, you have to cut your losses and go somewhere where you'll be appreciated. The real tragedy in all of this is that it should never have gotten to this point. Cody Rhodes should have never been put in a position where he felt like he had to leave. WWE should have been smart enough to recognize what they had and treat him accordingly from day one. But they weren't, and now they are facing the very real possibility of losing one of the best things they have going for them. It's a completely self-inflicted wound, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. As we wait for Cody to make his final decision, the tension continues to build. WWE management is on edge, not knowing whether their apologies and offers will be enough. Wrestlers in the locker room are watching closely to see what happens. Fans are debating on social media about what Cody should do. Wrestling media is speculating constantly about where he might end up if he leaves. It's a situation that has captured the attention of the entire wrestling world, and it all stems from WWE's inability to properly value and manage their own talent. This is exactly why you need to stay subscribed to WWE Frenzy Live. We're going to be covering every development in this story as it happens. When Cody makes his decision, you'll hear about it here first. When WWE makes their next move, we'll break it down for you. When details emerge about what really happened behind the scenes, we'll share them with you. This is the biggest story in wrestling right now, and we're committed to bringing you all the information you need to understand what's really going on. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay tuned because this story is far from over and the next chapter is going to be absolutely explosive.